Good day. I am Ma'am Lovejoy E. Salvador, and we will be discussing non-routine problems and strategies in problem solving. Solving non-routine problems requires more than just memorizing formulas. It challenges us to think critically, analyze different approaches, and apply logical reasoning. Unlike routine problems that follow a set procedure, non-routine problems demand creativity and strategic thinking. In this discussion, we will explore various problem-solving strategies that can help us tackle complex and unfamiliar problems effectively. Let's dive into these strategies and see how they can improve our problem-solving skills. For our objectives, learners will identify the characteristics of non-routine problems and explain their importance in enhancing mathematical reasoning and critical thinking skills. Learners will appreciate also the value of using logical reasoning and technology in solving mathematical problems and develop a positive attitude toward problem solving. And finally, learners will be able to demonstrate their ability to apply appropriate problem-solving strategies and tools to solve non-routine mathematical problems effectively. Now, let us define what are non-routine problems. When we said non-routine problems, these are math problems that cannot be solved using a single predefined formula or method. Non-routine problems play a crucial role in education by fostering critical thinking, creativity, and adaptability. Instead of following a clear-cut path, students need to engage in trial and error, experimentation, and diverse approaches to arrive at solutions. So these problems encourage students to think beyond what they already know and to explore, question, and iterate as they solve. See the examples here of a non-routine and a routine problems. What do you observe? What do you think are their differences? Let us try to compare the two. When it comes to solution path, our routine problems provide a clear path to a solution, often based on a formula or algorithm students already know, while in a non-routine problem, it requires students to determine the solution path, often through exploration and testing different strategies. When it comes to thinking skills, routine problems primarily involve recall and application of learned procedures, while non-routine problems involve higher order thinking skills like analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, which promotes critical and creative thinking among our learners. When it comes to student mindset, routine problems offer the students confidence in solving problems quickly, reinforcing skills and accuracy, while in non-routine problems, this encourages students' perseverance and adaptability as students navigate uncertainty and adjust their strategies. Who is this mathematicians? Exactly. This is George Polya, the father of problem solving in mathematics education. Dr. George Polya was a notable mathematician and a former professor at Stanford University. The works and significant contributions of Dr. Polya can be traced in different disciplines of mathematics such as probability theory, number theory, the theory of functions, and the calculus of variations. In his book, How to Solve It, he designed the 4 steps in problem-solving process for the learners to be better and independent problem solvers. So these 4 steps in problem solving will be later and deeply discussed in our next slide. These are Polia's 4-step problem-solving strategy. Number 1, understand the problem. Number 2, devise a plan. 3, carry out the plan. And 4, review the solution. Understanding the problem is the first and most crucial step in solving mathematical or real-life challenges. It involves carefully reading the problem, identifying what is being asked, and determining the given information without a clear grasp of the problem. Attempting to find a solution may lead to confusion or incorrect answers. For example, consider this word problem. A farmer has 250 mango trees. He wants to divide them equally among 5 fields. How many mango trees will be in each field? To understand this problem, we need to identify what is being asked. Yes, what is being asked is how many mango trees will be in each field. Then after that, determine the given information. What are the informations given? Yes, the farmer has 250 mango trees and 5 fields. Then, let us recognize the operation needed. So since the trees are divided equally, what do you think is the operation needed? Exactly, division is required. By thoroughly understanding the problem, we can confidently proceed to solve it using 250 divided by 5, which is equal to 50, meaning each field will have 50 mango trees. This example highlights the importance of fully grasping the problem before attempting to solve it. The second step includes devising a plan. Successful problem solvers utilize a variety of techniques when tackling mathematical problems. One essential step in this process is devising a plan, which involves selecting an appropriate strategy to approach and solve the problem effectively. So common strategies includes drawing a diagram, making a table, looking for patterns, working backward, breaking the problem into smaller parts, or using algebraic equations. By having a clear and structured plan, problem solvers can navigate complex problems systematically and improve their chances of finding the correct solution. Let us have this given example. A student encounters the following problem. Maria bought 3 pencils and 2 notebooks for a total of 85 pesos. If each notebook costs 25 pesos, how much does each pencil cost? So to devise a plan, the student can identify the given information first. And that is the total cost, which is 85 pesos, and the cost of each notebook, which is 25 pesos. And also, we have here the given information such as 3 pencils and 2 notebooks. Then after that, set up an equation. So since there are 2 notebooks which cost 50 pesos, so we can set up an equation which is 2 times 25, wherein since the cost of 3 pencils is 85 minus 50, so that is 35 pesos. Then solve for the unknown. Divide 35 pesos by 3 to determine the cost of each pencil. And that would be equivalent to 11 pesos and 67 centavos. So by following this structured plan, the student can systematically analyze the problem, apply mathematical operations, and arrive at the correct answer. This approach highlights the importance of devising a plan as a fundamental step in problem solving. Carry out the plan. Once a plan has been devised to solve a problem, the next crucial step is to carry it out systematically. This step involves executing the chosen strategy carefully, ensuring that each step aligns with the plan. Accuracy, attention to detail, and logical reasoning are essential during this phase. If mistakes occur, revisiting the plan and making necessary adjustments is important to arrive at the correct solution. Let us have an example. A farmer has 250 mangoes and wants to pack them into baskets, with each basket holding 10 mangoes. How many baskets does he need? Step 1. Understand the problem first. So since in the problem, the farmer has 250 mangoes and each basket can only hold 10 mangoes. We need to determine how many baskets are required. Then, let us devise a plan. The best strategy here is division since we are distributing the mangoes into equal groups. We will then divide 250 by 10 to find the number of baskets needed. Then, step 3, carry out the plan. Now we perform the calculation. So since we have this equation 250 divided by 10, which is equivalent to 25, thus the farmer needs 25 baskets to pack all the mangoes. By carefully executing the division and verifying the result, we ensure that the solution is correct. If an error is found during the computation, we can go back, check each step, and make corrections as needed. Carrying out the plan accurately is essential to reaching the correct answer in any problem-solving situation. And finally, the last step, review the solution. So reviewing the solution is a crucial final step in problem solving, ensuring that the answer is accurate, reasonable, and correctly addresses the problem. This step involves verifying calculations, checking logical consistency, and considering alternative methods to confirm that the solution is correct. It also allows for identifying errors and refining the approach if necessary. Let us have here a given problem. A farmer has 5 rows of mango trees, with 8 trees in each row. How many mango trees does the farmer have in total? For our solution, of course, step 1 is we need to understand the problem first. So the problem involves multiplication to find the total number of mango tree. Then step 2, let us plan a strategy. Of course, we need to multiply the number of rows by the number of trees per row, and that is 5 times 8. Then finally, step 3, execute the plan. Let us multiply now 5 and 8, and 5 times 8 is 40. Then, let us now review the solution. So to verify, we can use an alternative method. Instead of multiplying directly, we just can simply add 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, and that would also be equivalent to 40. Or we can also break it down. Let us say multiply 5 and 10 first, and that is 50. Then multiply 5 and 2, and that is 10. Now 10 be subtracted from 50. So that is also equivalent to 40. So since both methods confirm the answer, we can confidently say the solution is correct. Reviewing the solution helps prevent mistakes and builds problem-solving accuracy, a vital skill in mathematics and a real-life applications. And that is Polia's 4-step of problem-solving strategies. Understand the problem, devise a plan, carry out a plan, and of course, review the solution. Solving non-routine problems requires more than just memorizing formulas. It challenges us to think critically, analyze different approaches, and apply logical reasoning. Unlike routine problems that follow a set procedure, non-routine problems demand creativity and strategic thinking. So in this discussion, we will explore various problem-solving strategies that can help us tackle complex and unfamiliar problems effectively. Let's dive into these strategies and see how they can improve our problem-solving skills. Trial and error strategy. So this strategy involves systematically testing different possible solutions until the correct one is found. This method is especially useful when there is no direct formula or clear approach to solving a problem. By making educated guesses, analyzing outcomes, and refining attempts, learners develop critical thinking and perseverance. Let us have an example. A student is trying to find two numbers that add up to 12 and multiply to 35. They start by testing different pairs. For instance, 6 and 6. If we add 6 and 6, the sum is 12. But if we're going to multiply it, definitely 35 is not the correct answer. So, this must not be the correct answer. But let us try again another pair. Let us say 7 and 5. If we add 7 and 5, that is 12. But if we multiply them, is it equal to 35? Yes, exactly. So our first try is too high, but by trying again another pair, we find the correct answer. Through trial and error, the student finds the correct pair. So this strategy encourages logical reasoning, patience, and self-correction, making it a valuable tool in problem solving. Another strategy is the guess and check. Guess and check strategy is a problem-solving technique where students make an initial assumption or a guess about the solution, check its validity, and refine their guess based on the feedback from the process. It is especially effective in problems with no immediate formula or obvious starting point, and it can help students explore a range of possible answers before arriving at a solution. Let us have this sample problem. A farmer has 100 meters of fencing to create a rectangular enclosure. He wants the area of this enclosure to be as large as possible. If he uses the whole fence, what would be the length and width of the enclosure? Do you already have your guess? Let us say our first guess would be 30 meters for the length and 20 meters for the width. So by perimeter check, using the formula perimeter is equal to twice the length plus twice the width. So 2 times 30 is 60 plus 2 times 20 is 40 by substituting our guesses for the length and width. So 100, so yes, but does this guess fits the fence requirement? Let us try to compute for the area calculation. If we're going to find the area using length as 30 and width as 20, we can have 600 square meters. So that is our first guess. Let us try another guess. Let us try to refine the guess. So let us try increasing the length to 35 meters and then adjusting the width accordingly. So if our first guess, our length is 30, let us try 35, and then for our width would be 15. So by applying it to our perimeter formula, we can also have the answer 100. But does this guess fits the fence requirement? Now let us try to solve for the area. So by multiplying the length and the width, which is 35 by 15, we have 525 square meters. So now, which is much bigger? Is it 600 square meter or 525 square meters? Which do you think would be the possible answer to our problem by using the guess and check strategy? Let us try another further exploration. So observing that increasing the length alone doesn't maximize the area. So let us try equalizing our length and width. Our length 25 and our width 25. By using perimeter check, we can also have 100 as the perimeter. But does this guess fits the fence requirement? Let us try area calculation. So by multiplying 25 as the length by 25 as the width, we will arrive at 625 square meters. So does this mean this is our correct guess? And this must be the final and correct answer for our given problem? Why don't you try this another problem? Mang Tomas owns goats and ducks. Counting heads, there are 39. Counting legs, there are 110. How many goats and ducks did Mang Tomas have? Try to solve it on your scratch paper. Pause this video for a while and check the preceding slides for the correct answer. Another strategy for problem solving is the working backward strategy. So it is also a powerful approach in problem solving, especially for problems where the final condition or desired outcome is known, but the starting point or sequence of steps is unknown. This method involves starting from the result and retracing steps or reversing operations to determine the initial conditions or previous steps. Let us try to solve this problem using the working backwards strategy. James has a certain amount of money. He spends half of it on a book, then spends 60 pesos on lunch, and finally gives 20 pesos to a friend. He is left with 50 pesos. How much money did James have originally? Let us try to apply the working backward strategy. For our step 1, take note of the given information wherein he gives 20 pesos to a friend. So to reverse this, we simply add 50 and 20. which is equal to 70. So it means before giving the money to his friend, James had 70 pesos. For the next step, take note of the given information wherein he spends 60 pesos on lunch. So to reverse this, we simply add this 60 pesos to his current amount, which is 70 pesos. Therefore, 70 plus 60 is 130. Then, before spending on lunch, so James had 130 pesos. And finally, for the last step, he spends half of his money on a book. And to reverse this, we simply multiply his current amount by 2. And that is 130 times 2, which is 260. So it means before buying the book, James had 260 pesos. Why don't you try to solve this problem using the working backwards strategy? A number is multiplied by 4, and the resulting number is subtracted by 15. The difference is 21. What do you think is the original number? Go try to solve it using your notebook. And let us see whether you got the correct answer. So do you have the same solution? So we begin with 21, add 15 to 21, then the sum is 36, then let us divide 36 by 4, then the result is 9. So therefore, our original number is 9. Another strategy in solving non-routine problems is a draw a diagram. Drawing a diagram is a strategy to help you solve a lot of different issues. When approaching a problem, the first thing you have to do is to read and understand the problem and how to solve it. Let us have this sample problem. At a conference, every person shakes hands with every other person. How would you calculate the number of handshakes at a conference with 50 people? So let us use the draw a diagram as our problem-solving strategy. So take note of the given information given in the problem, wherein if there are two persons, probably the maximum number of handshakes they can make is only one. But if they are three, also, as you seen in the diagram, we have three number of handshakes. Four, we have six. Then probably if there are 5 persons, they may be able to have 10 handshakes. But the question is, what if there are 50 persons? So using our table of values, try to compute for the differences on the number of handshakes. So as you can see, we have there difference of 1 and 3 is 2, 3 and 6 is 3, and then 6 and 10 is 4. Now, let us try to look for the second differences. So, as you can see, we have now equal second differences, which is 1. So, therefore, what will we do for us to be able to determine the number of handshakes be made if there are 50 persons? See the solution on the screen. Did you arrive at the same answer? So we're going to use the formula n multiplied by the difference of n minus 1 divided by 2. So if we have 50 persons, so therefore our n is 50, then substituting to the formula, we have here 50 multiplied by 49 and then divided by 2. So 50 times 49 is 250 and then divided by 2, we have 1,225. Definitely, if we have 50 persons present in that conference room, the number of handshakes they will be able to make is only 1,225. Another non-routine problem-solving strategy is look for pattern. Finding a pattern is a strategy in which students look in the data for patterns to solve the problem. Students are looking for repeat items or numbers, or a series of repeat events. Let us try this given problem. Find the sum of the first 200 counting numbers. Can you solve this given problem using the look for a pattern strategy? Is your solution like this? Then definitely you will be able to get the correct answer. So as you will observe, there is a repetitive pattern if we add the first number and the last number, the second number and second to the last number, and so on. So since we have 200 numbers, definitely we only have 100 pairs of numbers, that the sum is equal to 101. Thus, we have the sum of the first 200 counting numbers, which is equal to the sum of each pair multiplied by the number of pairs. Therefore, we're just going to multiply 201 and 100. Therefore, the sum of the first 200 counting numbers is 20,100. Try to solve this given problem using the strategy look for a pattern. Logical reasoning. Non-routine problems often require a problem solver to think creatively and apply logical reasoning beyond standard formulas or procedures. Logical reasoning involves breaking down the problem, analyzing relationships, making inferences, and systematically testing possible solutions. Can you solve this problem using this strategy? We also have other technology applications in solving non-routine problems, one of which is using spreadsheets and Google Sheets. Spreadsheets enable students to model complex scenarios, manage data, and run simulations. So these tools are excellent for handling non-routine problems that involve numerical data, optimization, or iterative processes. You can also try Desmos and GeoGebra. These tools allow students to explore functions, create graphs, and visualize relationships between variables, which can aid in problem solving. They are especially useful for experimenting with different approaches and observing patterns. Programming applications. Programming helps students develop algorithmic thinking and create custom models for problem solving. Languages like Python with libraries such as NumPy and Matplotlib can be powerful for analyzing and visualizing data or testing algorithms. Artificial intelligence. Or you could also try Mystery Math Challenge. Why don't you try to solve these given problems using the different solving strategies we have discussed?